I mean, I think it's more so that, that attitude and that mentality. Me and Steph talk about it all the time about how we got reservations and we late. You know what I'm saying? So we trying to go get to it. And, when people turn on that tape and they play them Texans, they not out there bullshit. And when you turn on that tape, that's what you're going to see. So we only going to get better. We only going to get more polished in the offensive side of it. And we just got to do whatever we can to play collectively as a team.
Yeah, Joe. Texans offense ain't BSing.
They're not.
They're coming for that Bears ass run defense, which was letting Tony Pollard do whatever it wanted in the first half.
Yep, he was. Tony Pollard was having a monster game in the first half against the Bears. If they take a half to adjust, Joe Mixon's going to cross for over 100 yards easy in this game again.
Let's go.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Run up the score. Run up the score. Run up the score.
Why?
Joe George, by the way, is wearing a Chicago Bears hat. He's wearing sunglasses. He shaved and now has just a mustache, and he's wearing a Mike Ditka vest.
Yep. I think I like the mustache.
You're going to keep the mustache going?
I don't know, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it's a thick enough mustache.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little bit of a lighter mustache, so it's hard to see. So you might have to grow it a little thicker.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, okay? The only time you can really tell my Irish heritage, besides my pale skin, is that sometimes my facial hair is red.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I don't even know what color hair you are because I've only seen you in a hat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have hair. It's just, you can see the back of my hair.
You can't. I know, but I would not have guessed.
I'm bald, man.
I would not have guessed.
You can't see the bald spot here.
It's not that bad.
Come on, sales team.
I agree with that, though.
We got a client.
But
hook it up.
I would not have guessed because the side hair that I see under that hat is generally it seems like it's brown.
It's brown.
And I feel like whenever I've seen your facial hair, I've just assumed it's the same color. But you're right.
It's a little ginger.
You have a redheaded Viking beard right now.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just part of life. Joe Mixon wants to run it down their throats.
Right. That's true. And I'm asking for something out of the Houston Texans on Sunday that I normally only ask for from the Houston Astros, but didn't happen last year. I want a blowout.
Why? Why this game?
Joe, as I said at the beginning of the show, I don't respect you right now wearing that Bears stuff.
Why can't we do the Patriots game?
No.
What about the Vikings game?
It's the second game of the year, and they're playing against a team with a rookie quarterback. And they, last year, basically won all of their games by one score.
They did have too many close games. They were the heart attack Texans a lot last year.
Style points don't matter in the NFL, but Sunday Night Football, for a change, I would like the Texans to put a hurting on somebody. Because generally, it's the other way around. I remember back in 2012, the last year the Texans had a lot of hype attached to them. They got some primetime games. Sunday Night Football, the Packers killed them. Brian Cushing tore his ACL in that game. And then the Monday Night Football game where they wore the Letterman jackets, the Patriots spanked them there too. It's been a while since they have been considered a potential Super Bowl team and played under the lights. And this time, they're not going up against a team like Kansas City or Baltimore. They're going up against a Bears team with a rookie quarterback. And I know they had 2 wins last year early on where they won rather convincingly. In Jacksonville, that weird game where Andrew Beck had the kick return touchdown, 37-17, and against Pittsburgh, 30-6. But the rest of the games over the course of the year, outside of that barn burning of the Cleveland Browns, 20-13 over New Orleans, 39-37 Tampa Bay, 30-27 over Cincinnati, 21-16 over Arizona, 22-17 over Denver, 19-16 with Case Keenum in overtime. They did beat Tennessee the second to last game of the year, 26-3. They beat the Colts the last game of the regular season, 23-19. They generally play close games. For a change, especially with this game on Sunday Night Football, I want to blow up. I want some style points. I would like, for a change, hype around the Houston Texans to actually be lived up to.
Yeah, I mean, look, that should be, to be honest. You're a legit Super Bowl contender. You have one of the best offenses in the NFL. You have a rookie quarterback who got easily confused last week against the Tennessee Titans. An okay defense. Your defense should be a lot better. You have an offensive line that for the Bears, they got embarrassed last week, that the Texans should be able to dominate. This should be a blowout. You're not going to, CJ's not going to make it should be. A 6.5 point spread. They don't, when Vegas does these lines, because it's the NFL, they never do like the college football thing. But if this was like a college football equivalent, this is probably a 20-point spread.
You think so? 20?
If these were like college football teams, like the way I view the Bears versus the way I view the Texans, I would say this is like.
I can see 2 touchdowns. I don't know if it'd be 20 because I still feel like there's a little bit of we're not sure about the Texans in Vegas.
I think it would be like 16 and a half or something, like where you just add 10 points to it. If it was, I'm trying to think of the comp, but it would be like, I don't know, Penn State versus like Minnesota, that kind of
that's
game
a
where
good comp.
It's a team at the top of the conference, but not Ohio State, not Michigan if they're good, and it's kind of a pretty mid-level team. Yeah. The Texans should NFL blow out these people.
I mean, it's
which is like win by 2 scores.
And that is an NFL blowout. And that's what you should be, but you want more than that.
I want more. And
what's your starters pulled?
I want a 40 burger.
Okay.
And I don't really care what the Bears score. I don't think they're going to score much.
You want a repeat of the playoff game?
Pretty much.
Of the Browns game?
Yeah.
Pick 6, maybe.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Couple of zoomed in shots on Sunday Night Football of Caleb Williams looking frustrated.
Mm-hmm. With his fingernails painted. I do think he has to unpaint them. I know he's been doing it since he was in high school, but I feel like you have to you should have won your first NFL game.
He did. He won it.
Win his first
you should have thrown for over 100 yards. You're right. My bad. You should have thrown for over 100 yards. It's so weird to think a quarterback threw for under 100 yards and his team won.
Yeah.
The Bears football.
I hope that he doesn't have, like he did against Utah, something that's like FU, the rest, TEXANS.
I think he got told to not do that.
Yeah,
more mature now.
I think he gave an interview where he was like, "I'm gonna keep him like more towards me and the Bears as opposed to anti."
Yeah,
like he's gonna be more positive with it.
Also, what are you gonna say about the Texans if you did that?
Bleep CJ.
No, it would work. It would work. Bleep
18.
Texans. There's 10 digits. That would work. That would work. But I think the Texans are going to do this because if you hear them talking during the week, everything that they have been saying, it feels like they're annoyed that they didn't get as much as they could have. Here's Landry Locker asking Nico Collins about some missed opportunities on offense.
There's another level. It didn't seem like there was, I don't want to say lack of satisfaction, but you heard Steph and Mixon say, and then Bobby today said they kind of left some meat on the bone in the run game. Does it feel like you got the dub, but man, we could have performed much better?
That's first day out, man. Put that film on that first day. It's like, ooh, yeah, there's some stuff you need to clean up on, but that's what you watch film for. That's what you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. To work on them things. Get ready for this week. Get ready for Chicago. So we go out there. Not to make the same mistake, but improve. Just get 1% every single week. It's a marathon. So I feel like for us, continue to be us, continue to build. Don't get complacent, man. Continue to shine every Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're watching film tomorrow, Joe. And he's not alone in feeling like the Houston Texans offense could have done more. We heard from CJ Stroud earlier in the show. Bobby Slowick, Texans offensive coordinator. I was surprised by something you'll hear in his breakdown of the offense's week 1 performance.
We really wanted to play clean football. That was one of the big emphasis we made going into the game. And I think execution-wise, mentally, as far as doing our job, in particular in the run game, we did that. But we didn't always do it well. If there were some technique and fundamental things we definitely could clean up. I know Joe had some one-on-one ops in the hole that he would like back, and just little things like even how we have a track on a certain play or what our angle is on a combination up to the second level. We were off, and we still got some good plays out of it. But if we were on it, to us, like we see explosives.
They ran for 200 yards, and they're saying, we left a lot out there. Honestly, wasn't really the best performance running the football.
Yeah, it's funny to hear them say that with the running game. Like you could, if you said the passing, we're like, yeah, For
Passing
sure.
game had some moments where it wasn't great.
With Nico Collins, I was kind of nodding along. I was like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, like CJ underthrew that ball. He
Yeah,
got
the
lucky on
passing
the pick.
offense, it wasn't completely in sync, but him being like, yeah, Joe Mixon has a couple runs he wish he has back. I'm like, no, he does. He probably doesn't.
It's like the best game of his career.
Yeah, like,
maybe.
No, I think it's number 2. I think he had one for 165, but like a couple years ago. So like it because of his age, I think it becomes number 1. They did have, Kaimi Fairbairn did have to kick, 3 50-plus yard field goals in last week's game. So, the first 2 possessions they score on is 51 and 50. Then they get the Diggs touchdown. And then in the first possession of the third quarter, Kaimi Fairbairn has to hit another 51-yard field goal. So I agree. They did leave a lot to be desired in this game in week 1.
Yeah. And they're going to put a hurting on your burrs on Sunday, dude. I want a blowout, and I think they're going to give me my blowout. We have a call, 713-780-3776 to call to text. The HRNP listener line, it's Jerry. Jer Bear, what's up?
Hey, guys, how y'all doing? Look, as a diehard Texans fan, do I want them to beat the Bears by 30? I do. But I've seen so much tragedy in these past 22 seasons that when I go into thinking, oh, this should be a blowout, oh, this should be a win, like last year at Atlanta or at Carolina, the Texans fumbled the game, and I've seen it year in and year out. So as much as I want 30-point win, I frankly think the Texans, because that's a good Bears defense, I think the Texans win it 24-13. All right, guys, thank you.
All right, Jerry. I understand that line of thinking among Texans fans. There is always a feeling that the other shoe is going to drop, but last year was last year where you are in the first year with almost minimal expectations. We wanted blowouts against, as he said, the Falcons and the Panthers and definitely the Jets. But this year, you should be expecting them to happen from time to time. We're raising our expectations here. Every single game to me is an opportunity for all of us to gauge whether or not that would have beaten the Chiefs, the Ravens, and let's throw the Bills up into that category as well after what they did last night, because those are the 3 teams that are on a tier above you until you actually prove that you can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, the Carolina game cannot happen ever again for CJ Stroud. Like, that game was so bad. And you'll lose games you're not supposed to, but the Carolina loss was different. I mean, that was an embarrassing football game when things really felt like they had turned the corner. I mean, the expectation of this team is that that won't happen. Yeah, I mean, the Bears do have a good defense. So if you lost this game, it's not Carolina. It's probably closer to, if you would, that the Atlanta game, if anything, I would say. It's just, and I get what he's saying, because I think that's why, like, it's so easy for me to root for the Texans most of the time, just not this weekend. It's because what Jerry's saying, like, that's what I feel every week.
You're a traitor to the realm in this station.
Just for 3 more days. Until they play in the Super Bowl, of course.
I don't know what you.
I was going to say who's going to break, and it was Sean.
Well, because at a certain point, just we can't have dead air for that long.
I just want everyone to know I'm looking not just disappointedly, but with disgust through Joe George's Mike Ditka.
What was the
sunglasses.
most disgusting part of that?
I don't know, because you're dead to me. I'm not really listening to what
Was it that the Bears are going to be in the Super Bowl, part of the Texans?
That part, that part at the end in particular.
I didn't say this year. Come on, Paul.
Don't try to do that.
What?
Don't try to backpedal.
I'm not backpedaling. I'm stating a fact, Sean. I didn't say the 2024/25 Super Bowl.
In New Orleans.
In New
Are the
Orleans.
Texans and Bears going to play in a Super Bowl? We may as well just say it right now so that we can pretend that we had it all along. Like, if you're going to do it, we can pull this back out of the vault and we'll pretend that I never completely was
Make sure I say
disgusted by it.
with my chest.
Give a little space so we can make the clean edit in 3, 2.
Not only will CJ Stroud win a Super Bowl in his rookie contract, when he does it, he will defeat Caleb Williams and his painted fingernails and the Bears. But the Texans will win that Super Bowl in CJ Stroud's rookie contract.
You added that last part in there, which was the initial prediction.
Yeah, I'm just adding.
Yeah,
to
you
it.
What
just
was your
stack-
voice at the beginning
just
of that?
stack
I don't know.
Because you got it.
Because you keep telling me I got to say it with more chest more, so I'm trying to be more chesty.
I know.
Okay?
It was a little carnival
know.
Barker-esque. It was a little
Trying to be.
It was pencil pusher carnival Barker. It's like a dorky carnival Barker. Anyway, whatever. Joe's dead to me. It's Galon and George. Joe's wearing his Bear stuff. It does look good, though. You should be watching on our YouTube at ESPN Houston, on Twitch at ESPN 975. Joe George does know the Bears very well. So I'm expecting a blowout, but it is the NFL. Anything can happen. How the hell do the Bears pull this one off? Joe's going to lay it out. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. Someone just commented, hey, I think the Bears win this game, which will be a shame. Come on, poor Marine. Such a downer. How do the Bears pull this off?
Okay, so the first thing that helps the Bears is that I actually think, like guy for guy, they have the best three corners in the NFL in terms of the matchup with the Texans. So you have Jalen Johnson, who's an all-pro corner, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL on one side. You have Tyreek Stevenson, who's young, but he's a good player. He's the guy who had the pick six versus Will Levis last week. And then you have Kyler Gordon in the slot, who's a really talented young player from Washington, who they drafted like 2 years ago. So I like their corners. So like, if you're going to say like, how many teams do I trust to go one-on-one with Diggs, Dell, and Nico? Not many. I just think the Bears have a good set of corners that can kind of go toe for toe. They've invested a lot in the linebacker position recently, with Terrain, with Edmonds, who they got from Buffalo, and TJ Edwards last year. So they should be able to handle the run game, in theory. I mean, we saw that in the second half last week. So I do think it is defense. Like it's all about defense. Like that's how the Bears win this game, is because defensively they have the talent to match up with the Texans.
The secondary for the Bears intrigues me because, one, they have Jalen Johnson, who's good. Two, they have the defensive player of the week in what's his face? Something Stevenson.
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson.
Stevenson. I don't know how you win defensive player of the week for getting a pick six of Will Levis, but hey, it's fine. That was the worst pick six I've ever seen. I feel like there probably were other better defenders last week, but whatever. I wonder about who the third guy is, because this feels like a game where, especially after he was barely used last week, where Tank Dell maybe has the big game of the Texans wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Gordon should match up size-wise well with Tank. I mean, they're probably about the same size. Like, he's a smaller guy, Kyler Gordon. So, like, they should match up well versus Tank. But, yeah, that's going to be...
I don't know. I mean, now, again, Kyler Gordon better than I do, and know this matchup better than I do.
No, Tank Dell's better. The Texans receivers are better than... except with Jalen Johnson is a special player. The Texans do have the advantage. I just think that if there's any team that's close that can close that gap a little bit, I think it is the Bears secondary. Like, you have Kevin Byard, who they got from the Titans. Like, he's obviously he's a very talented safety.
He gets a lot of takeaways.
So like if there is someone that's can go toe for toe, I think it is this defense.
Okay, so it starts with the Bears secondary maybe making a couple of plays on CJ Stroud mistakes. It was such a bad week for the Bears offense. I feel like they have to be better by default than what they were.
The problem is that they just announced that, DJ Moore, I mean, he's healthy, but Rome Odunze, their first round pick, and Keenan Allen are both questionable. They have not practiced this week. So that's where it is. It's hard. Like, you have DJ Moore, who I think is honestly the most underrated receiver in the NFL. I mean, you look at him statistically, what he's done in his career, a guy who's had 4 1,000 plus receiving yard seasons, and his quarterbacks are guys who have been for the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. Like, he has great production for having poor quarterback play. So DJ Moore, not as fast as he might be on the same wavelength as like Alec Pierce. Maybe he's a little bit slower, but that's how you would take advantage of them. Is Caleb Williams can throw the deep ball. We saw that at USC. So if you can get him outside the pocket, you can beat Jimmy Ward. A lot of people can beat Jimmy Ward. So like, how did the Texans adjust from last week versus this week? Because I would imagine that's how most teams are going to say, we might not have Anthony Richardson at quarterback who has that arm, but we're going to attack this team deep.
Yeah, they didn't. So it's funny, the Texas defense said all offseason that as far as pass rushing, it's an attack kind of style that they play with. And that means they don't have to think. But when you're going up against quarterbacks that are good at escaping the pocket, like Anthony Richardson was, you do have to rush more as a team, and I'm wondering if maybe they make that adjustment this week. If you keep Caleb Williams in the pocket, I think you're going to be in good shape. Not Roshan Johnson, but I know he's one of the running backs for the Bears. DeAndre Swift. He is such an enigma. Everyone loves his talent, and yet he goes from team to team to team, and I feel like every single team ultimately feels he's not as tough as he needs to be.
You know, it's so funny. I really like that sign in the offseason. I felt so bad about it.
You felt bad about it. Why?
Because of what Saquon did. Because DeAndre Swift was good in Philadelphia.
But Saquon was bad.
And then you saw Saquon Barkley score 3 touchdowns in his first game, and I was like, oh boy. Like, how much, like, they really made Swift look good last year. And think about Detroit. They bailed on him for David Montgomery from the Bears, ironically, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, they were like, hey, we're good. And like, so DeAndre Swift is one of those guys that, like, he is like fantasy 101, like, you regret drafting. Like, you're looking at him and you're just like, hey, this guy, he's got the talent and he doesn't perform. So I like him, but they couldn't get going at all last week. The interior offensive line sucks for the Bears.
Really bad.
It's abysmal.
Okay.
Like, I would take whatever the over-under is for Mario Edwards and Foley Fatukasi for sacks this weekend.
You're taking the over.
I'm taking the over.
Okay.
Both of them.
And it seems like they would be unlikely to run the football if their interior offensive line isn't that good.